Good morning, good afternoon to everyone out there. Today is Wednesday, January 5th, 2022. We're getting started into this new year of 2022. And that's the reason why I'm doing this video today. For those that are wanting to prepare for 2022, that's what I want to entitle this video to be, is preparing for 2022. Just want to express some concerns that I see on the horizon that could be a problem. They may not be, but it's always better to be prepared than not. Right off the bat, you have to ask your question, with the current pandemic situation, could we be headed into another lockdown? I mean, this current rate of spread is getting to be excessive. We see countries around the world locking down their populations. Even China's got an outbreak of hemorrhagic fever right now that's locking down another portion of their country. And that's going to mean shortages there, because every time there's a lockdown, there's no exports going out because the manufacturing, the jobs, and everything is all shut down. And going into 2022, right off the bat, we're hearing about the H5N1 bird flu virus that is attacking a lot of the wild birds, as well as chickens and other livestock that are poultry related around the world. Israel itself has put in a request for somewhere between 2 to 4 million eggs to try to repopulate the number of chickens that they had to cull and be able to have eggs for human consumption. Different countries, over more than 30 countries have reported cases of this. And that's pretty bad that we're dealing with a pandemic as a people, but then our food is being systematically destroyed by these viruses. I mean, H5N1, your basic bird flu virus is H1N1. Now, the higher you go up in number, the worse it is. This is an H5N1, which is a major killer. And I mean, the birds that it's getting it, it's laying them down left and right. Then you have the ASF, which is African swine fever. That's killing a lot of the pork, or basically the pigs or swine. You have swine flu, which is an influenza type A virus. That's a basic H1N1. Then there's also an H3N2 that's out there. Usually, you don't have to worry about that as much unless you're consuming the meat that these animals have that are infected, because then it can jump to humans at that point. So that is a threat that you have to be aware of. But another thing also is when they have to cull herds of your food, basically you're looking at prices going up, because when demand is high and the product availability is low, prices automatically climb. So the more these different countries have to destroy between 100 to 600,000 chickens at a time, then you can bet cost of eggs and chicken will rise. Another possible threat is the global threat that we see with Russia, Ukraine, China, Taiwan. Hopefully nothing happens there. Hopefully it's just saber rattling, but it could draw the United States into either situation or even both. So that's something that we have to be slightly concerned with, or at least prepared for, because if any conflict breaks out, again, it's going to cause product shortages. And that's something that you don't want to be caught short on. I mean, if you followed my videos in the past, and I've warned people to prepare, the minimum amount of food and water you should have stockpiled right now should be at least 30 days. And knowing that that prepping itself is a progression, it takes time. Over time, you slowly put things back, and after 6 months or more, things start to really add up. Now, it's not a situation where I see SHTF about to happen, I'm going to rush out to the grocery store and I'm just going to run my credit cards up to the limit. Prices are going to be higher. availability, you're going to deal with the shortages, and then with the panic that's out there, chances are you're not going to be able to find everything you're looking for anyway. So knowing that prepping is a true progression, you want to start purchasing things a little at a time and let it add up over time. Then when you get past that, you're dealing also with financial threats that are out there. The cyber attacks and the grid down scenarios right now, different governments around the world, banks, lending institutions, they're all running drills right now. They've been running them for a while, and some of the banks started running them back in November at a possibility of a financial collapse. Them having to actually shut the banks down and try to run that scenario of how they would do it, shutting the ATMs down, declaring bank holidays. At the first sign of something happening, you can bet that if you've got money in the bank and you have things in a safety deposit box for safekeeping, when those banks declare a bank holiday and they shut down, your ability to acquire those items or have access to those items just ended. So my advice would be to start keeping a little extra money at home. Also, you'll hear on the news that stock market's up, wages should be going up. All right, that's all well and fine. But another problem with financial threat is inflation. The current administration says that a little bit of inflation never hurt anybody. But when prices are doubling, tripling, and even going higher, and expected to go even higher going into 2022, people are being hurt by this type of financial threat. And basically, you get inflation by the administration just printing money, throwing money at a situation with no real gold or silver backing it. When you start pouring a bunch of money into the system with no real backing, you dilute the value of the money that's out there. It's like taking a glass of milk and you keep adding a teaspoon of water every hour. After about an hour, after about 8 hours, you done added so much water to it that what you got in there doesn't seem to be milk anymore because you diluted the value of it. And, again, when they say wages is up and stock market's up, that doesn't mean nothing. If the rate of inflation is so high that wages and the market is not keeping up with it. So when they tell you that that's up, that's a smoke screen. Don't listen to that. Just know that as those things go up, know what the rate of inflation is. If it's not keeping up or staying ahead, then you're going to be put in a hurt locker financially because everything's going to cost so much more. It's going to be hard for you to afford it. Then another threat that's out there is just going to be Mother Nature. Between fires, adverse weather, floods, tornadoes, hurricanes, and even drought. We have no idea. That's going to be probably an unknown variable. We have no idea of how good or how bad things can get this year, crop-wise. We cannot afford, the world itself cannot afford another year of crop losses. Any 2 years of crop losses in a row amounts to a disaster. And we've been dealing a lot with drought, and right now that's going to be an unknown variable that's going to be hard to predict. But Mother Nature, that's definitely an issue there that you cannot predict, but will have an effect on how 2022 is going to play out for us. Possible solutions that right now that you want to be looking at, you want to try to have a fully stocked food pantry. Food and water, definitely for at least 4 to 6 months if you can, but no less than 30. 30 days is the minimum, but if you can get it up to 4 to 6 months, I say you'd be looking pretty good to get through maybe a situation till maybe a situation ends. You want to have something, seeing that the government is preparing for a grid down scenario and the banks are all running drills on a financial collapse or some sort of cyber attack that can collapse the money system or shut the banks down. Knowing that they're preparing for that, you want to be ready for those two things for sure. If you don't listen to nothing else I say, if they're preparing for it, you should be preparing for it. So how are you going to have emergency power in the event the grid goes down? Will you have a gas generator? Will you have solar? Will you have some sort of a wind turbine? Do you have any other possible solutions of how you're going to have power? Now, if your training is based upon you can make it with no power, wonderful for you. But for others, if you want to have power, be making preparations now to obtain emergency power. Next thing I want to discuss with you, knowing again that the banks are preparing for a financial collapse or some sort of cyber attack that will take down the system, build you an emergency fund. Start putting back money that you don't touch no matter what. That way, if something happens, you'll have access to this money. Now, you may have to maintain it in your home. If you don't feel comfortable, then keep at least half of it in your home and put the other half in the bank if you don't feel comfortable having that kind of money around. But FEMA has already said that you have to have at least 4 months worth of money at your house in the event that something would happen that would take down the financial system, because you still will have to pay your bills. How are you going to be able to do that if you don't have access to your bank accounts? The only way is to have money saved at your home. So start putting together an emergency fund, and no matter what, don't touch that money. You want to be stocking different types of meds, herbal remedies, essential oils, anything, any OTC over-the-counter item that are remedies to illnesses or symptoms. The more you can control symptoms, the better people are going to feel. So start stocking up on that. Also, stock up on some first aid stuff. You want to stock seeds, gardening tools, gardening supplies. Start practicing growing things in pots or buckets or whatever inside your home. And if not, then plan to have a garden this year in your backyard or around the front edge of your front house or somewhere. Maybe off your balcony. Have you something that you can grow in pots. And start practicing some gardening skills. But it's going to require you have some tools on hand and some gardening supplies and some seeds. So those are things that you could be getting right now. And I'd advise you start getting those, because we don't know, again, what the future is going to hold. You want to start learning new skills. Enroll yourself in classes like gardening, for example, or first aid, or anything that will help make you be more prepared for an adverse situation. Also, get in shape. Start practicing some sort of form of physical fitness. Start very light, but give your body time to adjust and start getting yourself back into shape, because critical situations may require you to have more physical strength or physical abilities. So start getting yourself in some sort of shape so that when it comes time for you to man up, you'll be able to man up. Then also invest in defense, because again, in critical situations, desperate people will do desperate acts. So get you some sort of training. Get you some firearms training also. Buy you a firearm. If you're not prepared to go with a firearm, how about a bow or a crossbow? How about swords, machetes, tomahawks, knives of various types? Learn to be proficient. Even if you go out and buy some throwing knives, learn how to throw them. That could be a skill that you could pick up that you may not know how to do now, but learn some forms of self-defense. And if you want non-lethal, batons, pepper spray, stun guns, there's many commercially available self-defense units out there, or products that are out there that you can acquire, and it would give you a chance to make it through a situation. So right now, we have no idea what 2022 is going to lead us into, but what we do know is the end of 2019, 2020 and 2021 has taught us a valuable lesson, and that is anything can happen at any time, and bad things do happen to good people. So right now, start your preparations. Don't wait to see what this year is going to be like. I'm not asking you not to go live your own life. That's usually what I said. Prepping is a progression. Go ahead and live your life. Do what you do, but start putting some things back. Start getting some additional skills. And if we go into another lockdown or something major happens or supply chain becomes more broken, you'll be prepared. So if you like this video, please hit the thumbs up. Also, please subscribe to my channel. And you guys continue to prep and stay safe. Bye-bye.